Travel further on down the road to the edge of the great unknown. Stands a black horse riderless. Wonder, am I ready for this? I'll saddle him up and he'll switch his tail, and I'll tip my hat and bid farewell. Lift the song into the air I learned at that dusty fair. Sit tall in the saddle, hold your head up high. Keep your eyes fixed where the trail meets the sky. Live like you ain't afraid to die, and don't be scared, just enjoy the ride. And don't be scared, just enjoy the ride. So we are the Rockin HW. My partner poet, Michael Whitaker. My name's Alan Halverson. We've never been in this room before.
This is a nice setup. I like this. It's very nice. Very nice, guys. Good job.
As I was out with the riding, graveyard shift midnight till dawn. The moon was as bright as a reading light for a letter from an old friend back home. He said, the last time I run on to Jenny, she's married and has a good life. You sure miss the track when you never come back. She's a perfect professional's wife. She asked me, why does he ride for his money? Tell me, why does he rope for short pay? He ain't getting nowhere and he's losing his share. Oh, you must have gone crazy out there. But they've never seen the northern lights, never seen the hawk on the wing, never seen the spring hit the great divide, and they've never heard old Camp Cookie sing.
Pulled the chuck wagon by the creek, unhitched and watered up the team. Old Cookie, he pulled out a couple of pots and he filled them from the stream. The horses now unsaddled, they're cut loose to run the night. A few boys watch the cattle. Night herded to keep them right. The sun started to fade as the grub was being served. Oh, the cowboys were a little quiet, not a solitary word. Then a fiddle softly played a tune, sweet music filled the air. You sang of home and yesterday. They pretended not to care. Then one by one they gathered to hear this cowboy sing, to listen to his music and the memories that it brings. And one by one they gathered and they listened through the night, just staring at the fire and the flickering of the light. The music calms the cattle, the night herders hum the songs. Oh, they think about those pretty girls, the ones they left back home. And then the cattle gathered as if they knew the words he sang. The cowboys staring through the night, wishing they were home again. When the days turn into weeks and the hills all look the same, when that cattle drive runs just a bit too long out on the open range, when that cowboy pulls his fiddle out and plays a song of long ago, it is then the cowboys gather and reflect on days of old. And one by one they gather and they listen to him play. His fiddle fills the coolies at the ending of the day. And one by one they fall asleep and the cattle settle down. It is only then the fiddle player lays his head upon the ground. Life out on the cattle drive sometimes can take its toll. It'll drain the spirits of the cowboys, the young men to the old. And this is why they gather, to listen to him sing. Listen to his music and the memories that it brings, and one by one they gather, and they listen to him play. Play songs of the homeland a million miles away. And one by one, they gather.
Well, I read up the last of my letter, tore off the stamp for Black Jim. Billy rode up to relieve me. He just looked at my letter and grinned. He asked me why do they ride for their money? Tell me, why do they rope for short pay? They ain't getting nowhere and they're losing their share. Oh, they must have gone crazy out there. But they've never seen the northern lights, never seen the hawk on the wing, never seen the spring hit the great divide. They've never heard old Camp Cookies sing. Nah, they've never heard old Camp Cookies sing.
Thank you. So, as being professionals that we are, and having a beautifully scripted show right to perfection, what are we going to do now? Okay.
Why don't you do a nice little poem for them?
A nice little poem. Let me think. Something upbeat or downbeat or...
Well,
they're kind of
pretty early for the suicide set.
Yeah, pretty early. They think a few of these. I think one lady fell asleep already.
Blood on the Saddle's probably out.
Blood on the Saddle's out.
How about sayings?
Sayings?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I got a bunch of buddies, like all of us do, and everyone has a saying. So I one day sat down and thought, I need to capture these sayings that my friends have. So here it is. There are sayings that you've heard of and sayings that you say and sayings that have been around for 100 years. Oh, some are philosophical, some are funny in a way, and then there's others that will bring you right to tears. It's a great life if you don't weaken. Oh, that's what old Gale was always speaking, and I could hear him at the crack of morning light. If you play with fire, you'll wet the bed. That's what my mother always said, but somehow I just don't think that's exactly right. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Oh, that's old Allen's claim to glory, and it applies to every story that he shares. Ex-wife for sale, take over payments. Oh, that was Dennis's famous statement. Somehow I just don't think he exactly cares. Keep a leg on each side and your mind in the middle. Well, to most folks, this is a riddle, but if you've been there, you know just what it means. If you're going to be lazy, you got to be smart. That's what my father would say to me. Either that or you ain't worth a hill of beans. I think he might be just a bit too educated for his intelligence. Oh, that's one I like to use. But I must admit, I stole it years ago. But then there's my old buddy Darren. He's got one he's fond of sharing. Never say whoa on a hard pull. Well, have you heard the story of old Missouri Bill? It happened up on the Powder River that's flowing still. See, he was pushing cattle, and by God, he was pushing his luck. Well, he finally got the cattle into town, and he hollered out something that went world round. See, he fired in the air, and he hollered, "Let her buck." Well, the smoke was billowing and mighty thick as my old man was cooking some steaks across the pit. Smoke so thick that I could hardly see the sun. Then he looked at me and gave a grin and wiped that soot from off his chin and said, "When she's burnt, she's cooking. And when she's black, she's done." But the best saying comes from old Uncle Bill. It's when you get bucked off and you take a spill. See, it can be used with almost any everyday cowboy disaster. See, when you're lying in the mud, flat on your face, then you finally crawl to your knees. At this point, you have a right to say. Now, with that, just about solidified the Tesco's offer brass anthropoid in the middle of a hailstorm in downtown Broken Bow, Nebraska. You can clap now. That's all right.
Oh, I shake them.
Well, to keep the theme going, see, I come from a family
We're talking about Uncle Bill again.
And Uncle Chuck and Uncle Ron. And let's, to put it politely, they stretch the truth just a little bit. No, they stretch the truth a whole bunch. I don't know if they've spoken the truth. There's got to be a basis in there somewhere where it started truthful.
I watched Uncle Bill say the truth once.
What was it?
Got another glass of wine?
Yeah, he says that quite a bit. So anyways, coming from that family, I realized that instead of being a liar, if I rhyme my words, I'd become a poet. So I got a license to steal. So this is a poem I wrote dedicated to my Uncle Bill and all his brothers. So this is called A Touch of Color, but Alan has fondly renamed it as The Liar's Poem. Well, it's been quite a while since I've ridden for miles. It's been a long, long time. It's been quite a spell, I'm here to tell, since I've seen what I've held in my mind. So give me a fire before I retire. Tell me a long, tall tale. Tell me your lies until I close my eyes and sleep slowly does prevail. Tell me the time of those bucking horse rides when you won all the go-arounds, when that horse changed its course, threw you high in the air, and you landed flat-foot on the ground. Oh, give me a story in all of its glory. It's been so long, I've forgotten them all. Don't change a word, not a single dang verb. Tell 'em long, tell 'em wrong, tell 'em tall. Well, the cowboys these days, they seldom do sway from the truth of the story, you see. They seldom do wander from the thoughts they do ponder. It's truly a mystery to me. See, I like a feller that adds just a touch of color to the long, tall tales he tells. So if there's a whopper you may have to offer, it'd make me happy as hell. I must confess that a little BS fills in what life just don't happen to be. And it's folks just like you that tell stories not true and turns them into reality. So give me a story in all of its glory and stretch her as far as she'll go. I'll sit and listen, not a word I'll be missing. Tell me something that just ain't so. Well, you may go to hell for the stories you tell, but I'm sure there'll be quite a crowd. We'll be waiting for you to tell stories not true. Tell 'em long, tell 'em wrong, tell 'em loud. There's only one thing I ask as the future does pass. Could you do a small favor for me? May I be included in the stories you polluted. Make me a small piece of history. Don't make my hat not so wore out and flat. Make my horse not so ugly and bare. Make me a bit taller. Make the girls do faller. And for Pete's sakes, give me some hair. And that old truck of mine, make her with a hard wax shine. And that old trailer, make her brand new. And as you're confessing, could you make my profession something that most folks would love to pursue? Well, my old life is boring, so before I'm snoring, fill my head with a couple of lies. Tell me a dandy, coat it with sugar and candy. Tell me something to spruce up my life. And give me a fire before I retire. Tell me a story, my friend. Tell me your lies until I close my eyes. And this day finally comes to an end. Okay, I want to do a poem that I haven't done in a long time, but I see these two young ladies right here. I've got a question for you two. Do you guys like dogs? Do you? Do you have a dog? Do you? Can I do a dog poem?
You might do this instead of this.
This is a true story about a dog from Kamei, Idaho. Now, like I say, I haven't done this in a while, so let's hope it's in there. Well, it started out on Weedus Creek a couple years ago. The ground a little steeper than the maps ever dared to show. And boy, in the springtime when the winter snows would run, the rocks would roll down Weedus Creek, tumbling one by one. This outfitter up on Weedus Creek had ran across a pup. See, the dog didn't even have a name. A name just didn't come up. But he had his share of dogs and mules and horses that he owned, and he knew he'd have to find this young pup a brand new home. Well, one day he swung by Jay's place at the old lazy Rockin J. The pup jumped out of the truck and rubbed against Jay's leg. The outfitter knew the deal was sealed as a blessing in disguise. He knew he'd found this pup a home. You could see it in Jay's eyes. Well, the pup and Jay just hit her off like a couple of long-lost friends. But, folks, this is quite a story, and this is where it all begins. See, the puppy grew a foot or two and would run around the clock. But you should have seen old Jay's face when that pup started rolling rocks. Way up on the hillside, the rocks came tumbling down. They echoed through the canyon. You could hear them for miles around. Old Jay called his buddy and inquired about his skills as he stared out at that young dog that was rolling rocks from off the hill. The outfitter asked if he was good and if he was acting tame. Old Jay said he was doing fine. But does the dog even have a name? He said, I'd call him Weedus. You know that crick I outfit on? Old Weedus Crick runs straight down the hill and the rocks roll all day long. Old Jay hung the phone up and leaned against the windowsill, just staring out at Weedus that was rolling rocks from off the hill. When I tell folks of old Weedus, they just don't know what to say. It's a story that I pack with me until my dying days. So if you're ever around Cami and have a little time you'd like to kill, just come and watch old Weedus roll them rocks from off the hill. I haven't done that one in a while. It came out anyways. Autopilot. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. I'll help you. You know, some people worry about getting old. We just think it's fun. Cattle and men by the country. We got her.
'Cause it's all about horses, cattle and men about the country, the work and the pride. Places where cowboys still seem to lonesome, can cinch up their saddles and ride. Spring works are the best.
Oh, that ain't good.
Not green. The outfit pulls out with a hoop and a shout, and each cowboy's drifting a dream. The cook comes alive way before 5. No one could sleep after that. You stir in your nest without near enough rest as you grab for your boots and your hat. 'Cause it's all about horses, cattle and men about the country, the work and the pride. Places where cowboys still lean to lonesome, can cinch up their saddles and ride.
Sometimes late at night by an old smoky fire, I'll lay back and gaze at the stars. That old warm night breeze will grab hold of me and I'll sing out a few old time bars. I'll think of the times when the cowboys would sing to the cattle of all and beyond. Oh, sometimes late at night when the day is retired, I can hear those old cowboy songs. The cowboys are punching the cattle each day with the dust billowing up to the sky. Horses are dragging, cowboys' shoulders are sagging. Oh, I can hear those sweet lullabies. The cowboys would sing as they meandered along, just bringing their day to its end. Riding alone, just reciting their poems, so I can still hear them in the night wind. Out on night guard with cattle and time, tired and oh so alone, they'd sing quiet tunes to the light of the moon, and they'd think of the old folks back home. When lonely comes round with nary a sound, I too will sing an old song. I'll recite some old rhyme just to fill in the time, a nice way to meander along. I'll dream of their ways in the old cowboy days and the nights beneath the bright stars, that day-to-day grind of that old cattle drive and that trail that runs a bit far. So give me a song that will last all day long and a horse that can make its own way. A campfire at night beneath the moonlight. Oh, give me those old cattle days. So let's drift back in time to hear old cowboy rhyme and listen to every word. Oh, a song in the wind. The cowboys back then, just a singing a song to the herd.
It's all about horses, cattle and men about the country, the work and the pride. Places where cowboys still lean to lonesome, can cinch up their saddles and ride. Places where cowboys still lean to lonesome, can cinch up their saddles and ride. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
We got a friend in the audience who wrote this next song, and we're really pleased that Mr. Anderson allows us to do this. Thank you, David, for writing this. Dave Anderson wrote this, guy back there, sitting all by himself. Yeah, you.
That good-looking guy kind of looks like Tom Selleck a little bit there.
Yeah, kind of looks like Tom Selleck.
Or Festus, one or the other.
Meat, it's what for dinner. Here is a saddle that's built to be rode. The wind and the dust, the snow and the cold. By a cowboy out earning the wages he's owed. So here is a saddle that's built to be rode. He built it himself because he knowed what he wanted. Tough using rigging whenever he's mounted. He paid for it piecemeal, not ever once daunted. From wages he'd earned, spent almost uncounted. But he gave it to me on the day that he died. Stood up to everything I ever tried. His masterful blending of art and rawhide. I'm grateful to ride his saddle. He spent 8 months of wielding a skive and a knife. His arthritis aches, his back pain and strife. On this custom-built saddle, it's the last of his life, to keep his mind off of missing his wife. And he gave it to me on the day that he died. Stood up to everything I ever tried. His masterful blending of art and rawhide. I'm grateful to ride his saddle.
I don't know the reason it came across my mind. I was minding to myself. It's like stumbling across a good old book just sitting upon the shelf. The memories kept a-flowing, they kept coming all day long, like the visit from a long-lost friend or a good old country song. I haven't had these thoughts for years, but in fact, I felt ashamed. The times we had way back when will never be the same. The times we had nonetheless. Now they're just old memories. Back in the good old days, how life's supposed to be. See, my old man and I'd go riding way up in the hills. We'd fish till the sun came down, and we'd eat till we had our fill. He'd cuss and laugh and tell his lies, but you know, I didn't mind. In the world that we are living, men like him are hard to find. He always was a teaching me, and in fact, he drove me crazy. If you planned on being around him much, you better not be lazy. In most everything that he did, there was a one and only way. This teaching somehow has been lost. We need it back, I'd have to say. Now, I'm not saying he's ornery. He had a heart of gold. He took time for me and most everyone that stumbled down his road. He's been gone most of my life, and I have a few things of his. But I wish I'd have kept just one more. At my age, it's surely missed. I can see it the plainest day, although it was old and half wore out. Just to sit upon her once again is what I dream about. Well, he died when I was way too young. You see, I didn't understand. Now I wish I had that saddle, the one that belonged to my old man.
It's just leather attached to a tree called a way. For his skills would all fade, like his artistry had when he last tried to break. He never once mounted the saddle that he made, but he gave it to me on the day that he died. Stood up to everything I ever tried. His masterful blending of art and rawhide. I'm grateful to ride his saddle. And when my time comes, I hope that it's told that here is a cowboy who lives by the code. And he passed it along by the time he got old, but he never sold his saddle. Now he never sold his saddle. So finish the story.
Finish the story. Well, I wrote that poem probably 15 years ago, I suppose. And see, my dad, when he passed away when I was 18, and my mom and dad, my sisters were gone, and I was a pretty good kid, and they kind of fell in love again, and then my dad passed suddenly. My mom got upset. She was mad. She was cheated. And she sold everything, including my saddles, his saddles. And so I wrote the poem. And I sent it off to my Uncle Bill in Cammy, Idaho, and he called me up. He read the poem, and he says, "You want your saddle back? I've got it." And sitting in my house today, I got my saddle back and his saddle back. So it's a nice ending.
Sit tall in the saddle, hold your head up high, keep your eyes fixed where the trail meets the sky. Live like you ain't afraid to die, and don't be scared, just enjoy the ride. And don't be scared, just enjoy the ride.